Hey everybody, John here with Adventures in Wrenching. And since I am waiting on parts for Project 944 here, I'm going to turn my attention today to the 1955 Nash Custom Rambler. This has been languishing for the last 11 years, baking in the sun, corroding. And like I said, I was going to scrap it, but I'm not, which is going to make this a very ambitious project because it has, as is typical for all these Nashes and Hudsons, they were unibody construction, so it's got rust. Not near as bad as most of them from back east, since this was actually sitting as a mascot car in front of a hotel up in the mining community of Clifton and Morenci for about 25 years before we got it. So that rust was just sitting there while the water went down the window channels. But body-wise outside, you can see it down at the bottom, right down here. But this hasn't run in 11 years, and we're going to go ahead and attempt to make that happen. And to do so, as I showed you a little bit in a promo video here, the water evaporated and left all the chemicals from the antifreeze down inside that, and I'm hoping that there was actually a thermostat in there that kept it out of the block, or this is going to suck. But that also means that there's probably this crud inside the radiator, so I'll have to flush that out. Distributor's still hooked up, but the wires are off, so I'm going to have to look at that. This had a vacuum operated fuel pump that never worked well, and rather than do that, I'm going to hook up an electric. This still is pretty loose, so that's a good sign. I did pick up a new battery, group size 51R, I believe, to make it right. Those are narrow. You'll see it here in a few minutes, because it'll fit and actually sit on top of this. But what I'm going to do is I'm either going to remove and fab a battery tray out of a Honda, or I'm going to have to create one from scratch. But let's see if we can even get this thing running. Now, as strange as it is, I actually do still have the keys for this car. And if you look closely, and it's hard to see, but right there, this is an original American Motors key. Now, even though it does say Nash Rambler, this is the first year that American Motors existed. And that was a combination of Nash and Kelvinator and Hudson. But it still went by the Nash name, at least in '55. Okay. Time to pull some stuff, it looks like. One of the other things that I've got going for me is the 1955 technical manual for this car. So that is going to be helpful, because flathead 6s aren't exactly something that there's a lot of information out there on anymore. So I'm going to find out where number 1 is on my distributor, and then go from there and put my plug wires back on. That'll be first. Well, apparently the technical manual is too technical for a simple tune-up on this, so I'm going to assume that back about 10 years ago that I was smart enough to actually lay this strap out in order with my wires, because that's how I would normally do things. So I've got those back on. The cap was reasonably new, the rotor was new, all of this was fairly new 10 years ago, and it really doesn't have a lot of miles on it since then, so I checked it out and it's still pretty new. That kind of scares me. Okay, let's go ahead and see if I can get this to come off. Now, I'm kind of kicking myself Not that that's unusual. But there were actually, oh look, different sizes. Isn't that great? Hold on. Okay, continuing on. Anyway, I was saying about kicking myself, because when I was still in my I think I'm going to scrap it mode, I think I did get rid of a couple of parts. And now I might kind of kick myself for that. One of which is there was a curved brace that went across here. I can make one, but I think it wound its way up in some scrap metal that wound up going away. This is really tight. That's not... Is it coming off? Yeah. That's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Anyway, yeah, a couple of things didn't make it. Most of the good stuff did though, so hopefully it's still around here. If it's not, I can definitely make a cross brace for that. It was just a little bit of structural integrity, but not really. Nothing was really bolted to it. And it's certainly not like this tower of power here is going to flex my body on this any. Alright. Almost moment of truth. Oh, look. Screwed up threads. Well, that's great. This one's good. That's weird. Okay. Please, 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 please. Please be a thermostat in there. Ew. Well, that doesn't look real good, but at least it's mushy. Yuck. Oh, hey. I'm definitely going to have to clean some of that out. And that's what I got to deal with right there. Lovely. Want to eat some? Alright, let me grab this camera real quick and show you what it looks like down on the inside. Alright, and here's what we look like on the inside. Green oatmeal. Now at least it still moves and at least it's still wet, so that's a good sign. That means most of this will still flush out. And I should probably... there's my lower hose. I should probably go ahead and unscrew that lower hose and actually drop a hose in this and see what all comes out. Because if I can get it running, I can get it running with just this, with just regular water. But that's still better than the alternative, which was there was no thermostat in there and then everything looked like what I poured out. Now, contrary to popular belief, I actually do have some fairly nice tools. I mean, nothing like Snap-on or anything, but I use, you know, Craftsman and Proto and whatever else I can find. But I usually don't use them. I usually use old stuff that I find in the back of a car until such time as this will eventually disintegrate in my hand, and then I'll go find another one. Don't ask me why. I'm just weird that way. Well, I think this is a good sign because it's got water in it still, or coolant. And way more than I thought. Criminy. Let me see if I got a bucket or something here. Well, I got a bucket under there, so we'll pour some of this out. The stuff actually looks amazingly clean. And a lot more of it than I really thought would be in there still. So that's a good sign for the radiator anyway. Or the lower part of the block. I don't want this stuff all going into the ground. I mean, some of it's going to spill. I can already see it still spilling. And can't really get the bucket under there anywhere better. All right. Well, I guess that's kind of good news. Now let me go get a hose and start flushing this out. Well, that worked better than expected. So unfortunately, I don't have any gas right now. So now I need to go down to the local gas station and get some fuel, because none of these have any in it. Find something I can actually pour with here. I don't like these new spouts at all. None of them. Well, I got some goat juice, and I'm going to do this a little differently since I don't want to try to hold this. What I'm going to try to do is pour some down the vent bowl. So that it'll run a while once I finally get that far. Because I don't think anything's going to come out the bottom. Oops. Well, crap. Oh, that's broke. Alright. Because I'm trying to get some in here, which will drop it down into the float. Well, into the bowl. I could go down and get one of those miniature funnels, but that'd be too easy. Why would I possibly want to do that? Alright, that's going to be enough for me to more than blow myself up. And I got gas to run this off of, but I got them on my lawn anyway, later tonight. Alright, so now I'm going to go get La Batteria and set that in there real quick. And before it gets dark, I'd like to at least make an attempt at firing this over. Okay, brand new 51R chemical electricity. The reason I'm using a 51R, sorry, my arm is in the way here. Sorry, the reason I'm using a 51R is because directionally it is as close going to the solenoid and then going to a ground. It's also narrow. These actually are used normally in Hondas, but when you're dealing with old custom stuff, guess what? You're just faking it until you make it. Now most of this system was originally 6 volt. I know most of it was already converted to 12 volt. At least as memory serves me correctly. If not, this is going to be real interesting. We'll just kind of squeeze it on all on there. Now starting this, if it'll start, is an interesting adventure, especially since I don't have a seat. Well, let me grab the jingly keys here and figure out a way that I can slide on in here. I mean, I have part of a upper cushion here. Part of an upper cushion. God, I've gotten fat since I did this. Hold on. Can't exactly film and try to figure out how to get in here in the first place. Ah. Okay. Okay, maybe. Well, that kind of works. Well, this is a two-stage process on this, if I have fire. This has an old, this has a key in it. Turn the key on, and I don't see anything. There we go. You have to pull up on this. Ooh, we're getting close. It's running. Awesome. It's not going to stay running. There goes my ratchet. All right, let's see if I can get some more fuel in there and make this run a little longer. All right, I'm gonna try to get this to run for a few more seconds. Sound good. I'm gonna figure out what that is. All right then, it runs at least a little bit. My next project, somewhere around here, I probably have a electric fuel pump. If I don't have one, I'm gonna get one, just a cheapie, because this only takes probably 5 pounds pressure, and wire in this. Get a fuel pump, electric fuel pump for this, so I can tie that into this here and run it off of a gas can, and I can probably get it running for a little while, see what else is going on. But all the same, that's still great news after 11 years. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I want you to keep following me here if you want to watch the adventures of Project Rambler, Project 944, or any of the other 6 or 7 projects I got going on. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, follow me here and on Facebook, and I will see you on the next adventure.